What's the problem? Why aren't sick people getting medicinal cannabis oil? Lawcracker! Welcome to Lawcracker. We take what's going on in the law and we break it down. No BS. Okay, so today we're going to talk about medicinal cannabis, marijuana, whatever. There's been a story recently in the press about a woman called Mrs. Appleby who wanted cannabis oil. She was trying to take it from Holland to the UK for her daughter Tegan, who suffers from a rare form of epilepsy. With that form of epilepsy, you can suffer from up to 300 seizures in a single day. So, absolutely horrific. I think we're all incredibly sympathetic to her. You may be thinking, hang on a minute, wasn't all this legalised last year, about October, right? Well, there was this woman called Mrs. Deacon. Her son Alfie had the same form of epilepsy. She was very vocal. She was very articulate. The papers, the media got a hold of it. Government gets very nervous and all of a sudden legislated to legalise cannabis oil in these kind of circumstances. So the government's legalised it. What's the problem? Why aren't parents, why aren't children, why aren't sick people getting medicinal cannabis oil? Well, the problem is this. Legalising a drug, legalising cannabis, is not just about taking away the criminal penalties. You have to have a regulatory framework and a research framework for doctors so that doctors not just know they're not going to be criticised if they prescribe something and it goes wrong, but the support and knowledge is there and the evidence-based trials that tells them what to do in certain circumstances, because one size doesn't fit all and they want to make sure that they're fulfilling their ethical responsibilities to do the right thing by their patients. Now, all of that takes time, years in fact. And when you have snap legislation, just because of media pressure and the fact that all of a sudden a mother with a very powerful story last year is making the public angry, government in a knee-jerk reaction then decides to legalise something. Well, the medical profession is completely unprepared, and as a result there is none of that years of research, medical dialogue, guidance. Where you have knee-jerk legislation, problems arise. In fact, if you read some of the academic papers from kind of the back end of last year, there's a lot of nervousness in the medical profession about how they're going to deal with this. Well, it's one of those things, I guess. That's a response, isn't it? They're going to have to wait. Wrong. Actually, the government's own medical advisor on drugs policy, Professor David Nutt, urged them years ago to start carrying out these tests, and he was ignored. You may remember, he's the guy that they sacked because he said that alcohol should be ranked with other drugs in terms of the harm it does in society. And we have a situation where the medical profession, because of the government's complete arrogant lack of foresight, is not ready to be able to fulfill its legal regulatory responsibilities. Now, the government has made a show of the legalisation of cannabis last year for political points. It was rapid, it wasn't very thought out, it was in a response to media pressure. But that show was fake. A lack of medical trials for doctors to rely on, a lack of evidence, a lack of guidance. This isn't legalisation. This is taking away the criminal law and leaving a load of other barriers in its place. The government ignored the advice of its own doctors while there was time to avoid the situation we're going through now. The mess is not the fault of the medical profession. It's the fault of the lawmakers who had an opportunity to deal with this in proper time. This was the Lawcracker. Tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Okay, bye. Lawcracker.